How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Tuesday here on this show. And you know what that means? Well, it means a lot of things. But one of the things it means is this is the last show of 2024. Which means that sometime in the next week or so, well, we have to do the prediction show. So that's coming up maybe Monday. I'll have to see what's going on. I don't think we don't got that. Actually, we do have a busy weekend, don't we? Yeah, we got all those Tokyo Dome shows. I'll figure this out. At some point soon, I think one time we didn't even do the prediction show until the end of January. I don't want to wait that long. But at some point soon, we will do the prediction show. Today, however, we got a lot to talk about. Even though it's the final day of the year, there's everything going on. We have Raw last night. Are you aware of what a monumental show last night's Raw was? It was the last Monday night cable wrestling show. It's over. If you only have cable, if you don't have Netflix, Monday Night Wrestling on cable TV has come to the end after like almost 40-something years. So we're going to talk about the last Raw on Monday Night Cable TV as they move to Netflix this coming Monday. So we got to talk about that show. Plus Dynamite. The fallout to the pay-per-view this weekend takes place tomorrow. We'll give you all of the notes on that show. It is Fight for the Fallen. We've got 5 segments scheduled for the show, 4 of which are matches, one of which is a big announcement. We've also got the first ever 3-hour SmackDown coming up on Friday. We'll talk about the length of Raw as well, and plenty of other news. Lots to get into here today. Mike Sempervive joins us after the break. Back in a moment, Wrestling Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Okay, can everyone hear it?
Yeah.
There's a mystery bell at Granny's house. She can't hear it. Take off your headphones for a second.
I had them on wrong anyway.
Okay.
I can't get them on right. What?
Take them off and listen.
You have in your elbow?
Is the fan on a computer?
Nothing.
All right. Well, this is going to be an exciting show.
Gonna have bells ringing through the whole thing, and it's every week. It's got to be me.
Do you have a neighbor that's an ice cream man
No,
practicing out there?
I got a neighbor that smokes marijuana.
I'm sure you do. I guess
Whatever that noise is, I mean, it's still going.
Yeah, it's not going to stop, dude.
Brian, do you want me to get off here and go see if open the door and see if there's anything out there?
You think something's out the front door?
Is he ringing the bell the entire time?
No, Granny, you don't
Let me in! Let me in!
It's fine. It's fine.
If it's death, don't open the door.
Thank you, Craig. This person thinks it's a stove timer.
Have you burned the roast?
No, I don't have a stove. You want me to just get off here?
No. We're going to barrel through it.
I'd love it.
You're not even doing anything. Granny, Nick says that you've got an old-fashioned analog alarm clock in Terry's bedroom.
I don't know. I got a new alarm clock, battery operated. Is that what she meant?
Well, whatever it is, it's going haywire right now.
Oh, it might be my alarm.
Do you think?
But it's way back in the bedroom.
Don't worry about it right now. But when the show's over, you might want to go...
That's what it is.
Okay.
Solve the mystery.
Is there a reason you didn't turn it off when it started ringing?
Well, I wasn't in there. I didn't.
Duh.
I took a nap. I took a nap and set the alarm. I thought I shut it off, but I probably didn't.
No.
You probably didn't.
That's life.
I would say with a good deal of certainty that you didn't turn it off.
Brian, that's life around here.
Yeah, I'm well aware. I do the show with Dave, too.
Say,
Hear all sorts of things in the background.
did I do that? You know,
Yeah, you did do that.
I thought I did that, but I didn't.
In there.
I wake up and I see lights on, and I say, I didn't turn those lights on. What's going on?
Maybe the place is haunted.
Could be.
Okay.
It's my brain that's haunted.
Well, I hope not. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And I want to do a quick plug here for our video channel, video.f4wonline.com, f4wonline.com/YouTube. It's our YouTube channel. And there's all sorts of clips that go up there every day. There's like 2 clips a day you can watch for free. But if you click join, you can subscribe, and it's $9.99 a month, and you get all of our shows on video. You get Wrestling Observer Live commercial-free, Bryan and Vinny's show. You can watch Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave and I, all beautiful HD, $9.99. You get all the shows. You can go back and watch replays, etc., etc. It is the video channel, video.f4wonline.com, f4wonline.com/YouTube. Now, I bring it up because tonight, normally Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern, we go live with the Bryan and Vinny Show. And usually on Tuesdays, we're joined by Granny, and then we review some retro programming. We've been doing Mid-South. Thursdays at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern, we go live talking AEW and NXT. Point is, tonight, it's New Year's Eve. There's not going to be a live show tonight. So what I decided to do is, in the normal time slot, tonight, mark your calendar, set your alarm on your clock, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. We will be replaying Thursday's Bryan and Vinny Show, where we recapped the NXT and Dynamite shows. Always a fun time. That is going to be streaming free on YouTube, on our channel, at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern. And I will be joining everybody in the chat for this watch-along.
What?
So it's completely free. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just go to video.f4wonline.com, f4wonline.com/YouTube. And 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern, we will be replaying Thursday's full-length Bryan and Vinny Show. And I will be there in the chat, chatting along.
So those of us on the East Coast,
11 o'clock.
ring in the new year.
You can ring in the new year free with the Bryan and Vinny Show on YouTube.
So
And,
wait, the show goes over an hour, right?
It probably goes. Actually, I don't know if it goes over an hour. It usually goes over an hour, but
Either that, we can pregame here on the East Coast
Yes.
and get ready for the ball drop.
yes.
Bryan
No
and
one, no one really cares about all that stuff. Just watch the show. The NXT reviews are always fun. It was an awesome AEW show, so there's a lot to talk about. So that's tonight, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern, free on our YouTube channel, video.f4wonline.com or f4wonline.com/YouTube, or just go to YouTube, type in F4W Online. Please click subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like the show tonight, every show is like that. We do 2 shows a day on YouTube, full-length shows, and you can click join and enjoy them all.
My
But anyway,
question is, how much CMLL talk is there on the Bryan and Vinny Show?
brother, we aren't talking about nothing until I get through this Raw show today. I don't want to hear about Conan. I don't want to hear about Connor. I don't want to hear about CMLL. We're going to be talking about the final Raw, the final Monday Night Wrestling show on cable television after almost 40 years. I actually tried to figure it out, and I couldn't. I don't think there was Monday Night Wrestling before Primetime Wrestling.
Not on cable TV.
I think Primetime Wrestling was the beginning of Monday Night Cable Wrestling. And it was primetime wrestling with Gorilla and Bobby, which was just like it was a. I can't say it was a great show, but I loved that show.
A lot of the matches were filler, but the banter was fantastic.
There was fantastic banter and
Sometimes
skits.
Angles, sometimes too.
Yeah,
Great
Bobby,
skits, yeah.
Bobby and Gorilla would do skits, and like we watched the entire build up to the Hogan Andre match, and I mean it was really good. The stuff that they did building up that WrestleMania 3 match was really good, and the matches are nothing happening. Sometimes what I actually loved about primetime wrestling, one of my favorite memories of the build to WrestleMania 3 is, I'm going to start coughing. I'm going to laugh so hard. They had a match, okay? I can't remember who was in it, okay? It doesn't matter. But it went like 17 atrocious, never-ending minutes, okay? And it was just like the most boring. Somebody will remember because we just reviewed it a couple of months ago. But it was just the most boring, nothing happening. Two geeks just like going on and on and on. And they went to a commercial break. And of course they go back and, Gorilla's talking about, blah, blah, blah. And, well, let's go back to this match. And they go back to the match. And it keeps going and going and going. And finally the finish, I don't remember what it was, but it was like the guy dropped an elbow and pinned the dude. And the match is over. And they go back to the studio. And Gorilla Monsoon looks into the camera and totally deadpan, he just goes, I don't know why he didn't do that 16 minutes ago. I died. Absolutely died. Because apparently in Bobby Heenan's book, he talked about how when him and Gorilla did the show together, because, it's obviously, it's not live. They taped all of this stuff with Bobby and Gorilla, and then they throw to the big screen or whatever, and then they put the blue screen, and then, they show the match or whatever. So, in theory, Gorilla and Bobby could put a show together in like 15 minutes because they do their banter, and then they go back and they edit in all the matches, and that's your 2-hour show or whatever. Well, Bobby explains in his book that Gorilla is essentially Dave Meltzer, okay? He had to watch every match again. So when Gorilla would throw to a match on the big screen, he would actually watch the match, the whole match. And so he sat through that 16-minute insufferable match again, and then he had to bury it afterwards because it sucked. But anyway, you had primetime wrestling with Gorilla and Bobby, the taped show. And then later, it became an in-studio show. They had a live studio audience for primetime wrestling. Even Dave didn't remember this last night because I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but it sucked. It absolutely sucked because Bobby Heenan, this is why I thought it sucked when I was a kid. It might have sucked because it just sucked. But like to me, Bobby Heenan was a heel, okay? Gorilla Monsoon was a babyface. And so Bobby would troll him and he would just be, how Bobby Heenan was. And, as a kid, I thought Bobby was awesome. I thought he was hilarious. But because it was a studio, it was like, just shot in studio and there was no audience or whatever, I thought that like only I was in on the joke and that everybody else hated Bobby and everybody else loved Gorilla Monsoon. And I was like the only guy who got how awesome this Bobby Heenan character was. So then when they went to the live studio audience, Bobby's like still a heel. They're doing the same banter, but every time like Bobby's doing something heelish, like the audience is laughing. It's like a live studio audience laughing like a sitcom. And I thought, that just totally kills the vibe. Like now everybody's in on the joke. Everybody realizes Bobby's funny. I hated it. It sucked. And then Vince would be there, and he's got his Zubaz on, and he's got his tank top, and he's all juiced up. And I was like, what am I watching here? So then finally, in 1993, they debut Monday Night Raw, a 1-hour show. And, the beginning, it was all right, but it wasn't like revolutionary or anything. It was just superstars on Monday, basically. And, but, they would start running more live shows. And it had a new vibe to it. And then, of course, the Monday Night Wars started. And contrary to the story that Eric Bischoff tells every last single solitary time, he absolutely will not learn or correct himself. Nitro started as a 1-hour show. Ted did not give them 2 hours on Monday night. It was 1 hour. And they went head-to-head, and Nitro put all the best matches and the big stars and everything on the show, and they started beating WWE, and then we had the Monday Night Wars, and then it all went to hell, and WCW died, and Raw remained on Monday nights from 2001 until yesterday. And now it's gone. No more Monday Night Cable Wrestling. We're going to talk more about this after the break. I'm not going to quit. Wrestling Observer Live. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Mike, you and I would not be doing this show right now if it were not for Monday Night Cable TV Wrestling. That's how I got into this. Primetime wrestling. If I hadn't run across it, I'd be coaching gymnastics right now or something. Living in poverty. Could be dead for all I know. But it's because of Monday Night Wrestling. But here we are together.
For
suffering through
years.
this YouTube chat. Yes, 20
Yes,
years.
20 years now of this. Hey, I don't know, you forgot about one thing. You forgot about the panel era. Remember that era where it was?
Oh yeah, that was in the middle of the. I think the panel era actually was after the live studio audience, because it was in the lead up to Mr. Perfect coming back to wrestling, which would have been like '92. So it would have been right. It would have been right before Raw.
But man, I didn't like that one either, when it was Hillbilly Jim and everybody just tossing barbs back and forth. It made me want to hear Gorilla and Bobby again, or Gorilla and Jesse, but definitely Gorilla and Bobby doing that show. They were fantastic. They are the measuring stick that everyone can, try to compare to, and nobody really has been able to do it as a duo ever since them. And I'm looking forward, cheap plug, for Brian Solomon's book that's going to be out next year, the Gorilla Monsoon book, which is going to be amazing. I know some of the stuff that's in it and has never been seen, but some of the stories and all that sort of stuff, I cannot wait for that thing to come out. But, when it comes to wrestling on Monday night, WWF used to run Madison Square Garden mostly on Monday nights, and they would tape that show and air it later. So I don't know if shows from the Capitol Center that were run on USA Network in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s, and the Madison Square Garden stuff that ended up on the USA Network back in the day, I don't know if that ever aired on Monday or not, but certainly 40 years of consistent programming. A lot of people were upset when World Championship Wrestling died, because there were a lot of people that they watched their Atlanta wrestling, their WTBS, their WCW for years, decades, their entire lives. And this isn't quite as dramatic, because obviously WWE is not going out of business, anything but. They're able to swing a deal where it's $1 billion deal for Netflix for 10 years, but it's going to be interesting to see how people follow along, because there's a lot of people who don't have Netflix. But one thing WWE absolutely has is a great social media presence and a great on their website. It's fantastic. It's one of those things I wish AEW would do, but it's not actually, it doesn't behoove them to do it, which is have these 5 and 10-minute videos where they show entire matches and entire segments from Monday Night Raw, and they cut out a lot of the other stuff. And with that highlight reel, you can easily keep up with what's going on, even if you don't have Netflix, or Netflix is going to lapse for you for some reason, just because, that's how it works with a lot of these streaming services. There's churn to them. So, it'll be interesting to see how it goes, and how SmackDown benefits, if at all, from this too. Once everything shakes out, does that become a more important show? Do they get more eyeballs for whatever reason? Because there are some people that are only going to watch their WWE shows, and if they can't watch one because it's on Netflix, do they double up on SmackDown? Do they, does that increase at all?
Well, let's talk about Netflix here. So, the USA Network, as of 1 year ago, so it's down now, but as of a year ago, the USA Network was in 70 million homes, okay? That was a year ago. So whatever they dropped over the past year, I don't know, we'll say 65,000 or 65,000. 65 million. God darn it. So Netflix in the U.S. and Canada is in 84.8, and they've probably gone up. And that was as of the third quarter of this year. So basically, more households get Netflix than the USA Network. So just on that basis, you're going to have more people watching Raw on Netflix than you had watching them on the USA Network. However, there's also this. I would presume, and I don't know this, but I would strongly presume that a lot of people are sharing their Netflix login with other family members in other households. So my guess is that the actual number of people that are regularly watching or have access to Netflix in the U.S. is probably, I think it's safe to say, well above 100 million. So I think that Raw is going to see a substantial increase in viewers, but I don't think that, for example, like, the Tyson fight. 116 million or whatever it was, and then I think that the football game on Christmas peaked at like 60 million. And then, I saw some people yesterday that were like, I think Raw might do half of that. Raw ain't doing half of that, okay? If Raw is doing 5 million viewers regularly, I think that would be cause for celebration. The other thing is, we're never going to...
think?
Well, here's the thing. No one even knows what that means. Like, we're never going to really know, like, how many people are regularly, like, committed to watching Raw. Because who knows how they're going to even determine viewership. Like, if you switch it on for like 3 minutes and you're like, what is this crap? And you go to watch something else, are you counted as a viewer for the 3-hour show? Because if they do stuff like that, I mean, they're going to be there announcing, we had 18 million viewers this week. But who knows what that even really means? No one knows. So, it's just going to be whatever it is. If we see gigantic increases in like the number of people buying tickets to house shows and buying tickets for, like, if WrestleMania is selling out first day, 90,000 seats, okay, we're going to know that like tons and tons of people are watching on Netflix. If they're doing basically the same business, then it's probably basically the same number of people are watching it on Netflix as watching it on USA, maybe slightly more. Maybe we'll get what we got when, the SmackDown show was on Fox. That's probably a fairer comparison because Fox is essentially in every household that has a TV. If you got rabbit ears, you can get Fox. So I think that's a fairer comparison. So I would say probably 2.5 million people will be watching Raw every week. They'll claim it's significantly more than that, but I think that's close to probably the actual number.
Not really much to add there with any of that. The only time I could see Raw ending up on cable in the next 10 years is if something happens with Netflix, and there are no guarantees in any business. We've seen a lot of empires fall, especially in the media, and the only thing I could ever think of is they need to farm it out for some cash, and we end up seeing, specials end up on whatever network they can sub it out to as if it's a sports product. Like the ACC football and basketball that you see the commercials for on NXT. That's a sub-license from ESPN, and it's about the only way I can see it moving back to cable TV. And I'll be honest, when it comes to ratings, I'll be happy not to talk about those. We're still going to, because SmackDown and AEW being on regular, traditional cable TV, but... honestly, because of what you said, because we don't know what is true, what's not, what numbers get manipulated because they're counting it by the second or whatever nonsense they decide to do, it's one of those things. I'll be happy about it once it all goes into the bin, because during the Monday Night War era, we had a reason to be excited about these numbers coming out, and it was a different time. People were just getting smart to the wrestling business, being able to compare minute by minute because people were watching the shows at the same time and going back and forth, and the competition and all that stuff. It was great, but it also lost a lot of its luster. And the fact of the matter is, you can look at these numbers and learn things from them by long-term trends and see different things. But the fact is, it gets talked about way too much, and way too much attention is put on it at the end of the day when it comes to any of these TV numbers. So I'll be happy when they're all gone.
Okay, so somebody let me know what's going on with Netflix and Disney, because in the chat here, people are talking about how Netflix is cracking down on sharing. Disney Plus did as well. So what is it? What have they done? Because I have, like, I don't share this stuff outside the family, but like we got a TV downstairs with Apple TV, a TV upstairs, and then, iPads. And I've got Netflix and Apple TV on all of those devices, and everybody can watch anything at any time. How does it work in terms of? Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the same house, but it's several people. I mean, we could have 2 or 3 people watching at the same time. I mean, what are they doing to crack down? Are they like, you can only have one IP? But
yes, screen limitations.
Well, what if you're watching on your phone and you're not on your wireless? I mean, does that? Someone tell me what they're doing to crack down.
A lot of them give you 2, like your YouTube TV, which is, depends on what level you have, because if you have HDR or 4K plus or whatever it is, you have more ability to download and you have more screens to share it on at a time. And every single service has got different limitations that way that try to limit you from sharing outside of your family or sharing outside of your home. You can have like 6 screens going at once at your house.
Yes.
But that's it.
Okay, well, I got another question after the break. Stick around, everybody. Observer Live. All right. So fill me in here.
Okay.
Okay.
When it comes to
Now
Netflix,
hold on. I'm
Yes,
asking a different question.
Okay.
So this person here says, let's see. When Netflix detects that someone outside of the household is sharing the password, it will block the device. So here's my question. I'm here at Cannon Beach right now. So if I were here by myself and I tried to watch Raw on Netflix and everyone's watching Netflix at the house, am I just going to get blocked and not be able to watch Raw?
It depends on the level of service that you have. Do you have a premium plan? Because in that case, you can have up to 4 screens at the same time going at once. So inside the house, and then again, this is coming from the Google Netflix gimmick, because what I had to do, I made it easy for the Jake Paul Tyson fight from my stepfather. For his house, I just paid the $7.99 extra that you can do and add somebody onto your account. So I made it easy that way. But on the basic plan, you get 1 screen. On the standard plan, 2 screens. The premium plan, 4 screens. So that's what happens. And then from there, if everybody's signed in, somebody else tries to sign in outside the house, somebody's going to get kicked off, or there's going to be a limit on how many people and from where that you can stream from, because they check your IP, they do different things like that. And that's how they try to... That's the only things that they can really do to try to stop you from doing anything. For YouTube TV, there is a 3 active stream limit that you can have going on. Now, you can have up to like 4 streams in a house, or something like that, but it will kick you off depending on what tier you're in. Because they're another one where if you pay for 4K, you pay for these extras, well, you can then share it with an extra person or stream it on, have more streams at once. So there's ways where they're trying to get around people from doing different things, and then basically overcharging the people that are willing to pay for whatever it is they're paying for, to try to make up for some of this loss that I'm sure that they look at that they have.
Well, at the end of the day, I better be able to watch this show wherever I go, like I can on YouTube TV, although it does yell at me sometimes. Are you traveling?
Well, exactly.
Well, of course I'm traveling. I'm in another state. What do you think I'm doing? What a stupid question.
I have that happen in my own house with YouTube TV.
Traveling.
I have Comcast because of the Xfinity business internet, whatever. I have an IP that, for whatever reason, even though I'm in southern Delaware, that says it connects out of Washington, D.C., for whatever reason, out of like Alexandria or Virginia.
You must be doing something illegal.
I am not doing anything illegal. That's what they have. And it's actually beneficial for me in one way, because when I turn on Peacock, which I have to have because WWE, my local is Channel 4 out of D.C., and that makes me happy because I like that station. Always have.
All right, a couple of notes from Rod. The best thing on the show... during the break, I was on Twitter, and they got all that stuff like For You or whatever, or Live
Which
on
is
X.
Never For You, yes.
Live on X. One of them was, they were talking about Punk and Seth shooting. Okay, listen. Like, am I old or what? You guys know what shooting means? Okay.
No, they don't.
They weren't shooting. This was all planned in advance. Just because they were talking about things that really happened doesn't mean it's a shoot. So, yes, Seth mentioned a lot of things, not the least of which is that, CM Punk had gone on his buddy's podcast, he said, and tried to kill this place. Then you took a big chunk of change to go to the competition. How'd that work out for you? Notice he didn't actually say Colt Cabana. He didn't actually say AEW. They weren't shooting. Are we all aware of that? All right, good. But they did go back and forth, and I thought it was one of the best talking segments of the year because they did skate that line. They didn't, they didn't try to just turn this into some goofy thing. I mean, yeah, Seth has a problem with Punk. A lot of people. Here's the thing. People don't have much of a problem with Punk anymore. He's been on his absolute best behavior since he came back. But, I know this because I asked around when he first showed up at Survivor Series. And, people there were not happy. They were not happy. And they said a lot of the same things that you've heard in a lot of these promos. But, it's been a year. And there have been no problems. And he's been on his best behavior. But now they are taking advantage of, fans presuming that there must still be some hard feelings. And they're bringing that kind of stuff up. And both guys did a tremendous job acting very, very angry, acting like they wanted to fight each other. And this is the main event of the Netflix show. And I presume Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa for the Ulafala is going to be the opener. Dave is insistent, and I guess he's probably right. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but him being insistent means he probably does. That Rock is not going to be involved in this in any way. Not that he's sending me emails. Not that he's not going to be on the show. I'm sure that Rock is going to be on the show.
Yeah, they already have.
But he is claiming that Rock is not going to be involved in the Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa Ulafala thing, which I don't even know how he couldn't be. Like, he was going to be on the show. How is he not involved in some way in that storyline? I think he needs to take the beads. I think Roman needs to beat Solo, get that thing over with, and then Roman declares himself the new tribal chief. I guess it doesn't need to happen on the first Netflix Raw, but I think down the road, that's where we need to go. I think the bigger match, obviously, is Rock and Roman for the Ulafala. I mean, people are into it to a degree, I guess, but I don't care.
You got 2 Rock matches. It's him and Cody and him and Roman for the Ulafala. I mean, those are the 2 that you have, but I can also see him coming out doing something somewhat isolated. If he's not going to be a presence at Mania, you don't even want Rock around as a shadow because everybody's waiting on Rock and Roman, which we all figure one day is going to happen.
Yeah, this guy says Solo should win. Rock takes the Ulafala from Solo. You get Rock and Roman at Mania 2. Simple. Yes. Yeah. You see, it's just so easy. Roman beats the guy. Okay? He wins. And then, I don't care who it is, Jimmy, Jay, Sammy, one of these nerds needs to go to put the Ulafala, but before you can put it around Roman's neck, the Bloodline's got to jump him. Rock comes out, puts the Ulafala on. Roman cannot put it on. Do you understand? He can't put it on. It needs to be taken from him. If you don't want Rock to take it from him on this show, then he needs to beat Solo, but then, like, Jacob takes it. Something. Rock can't put it on yet. Why is it so hard?
It's not really. And they may very well do all of those things that you just said. But if Rock's not going to be around at Mania, it's just going to be something we're going to have to wait on for a little bip longer. Although, if we do, that's fine. Because at some point, we're getting Roman and Fatu. And I really am looking forward to seeing that whole thing develop and play itself out. You know, I'm done with Solo. I'd like to see a new coat of paint. Even though we know it's going to be a Bloodline thing, I'd love to see a new coat of paint get put on some things. I like Jey Uso and the New Day last night, because if they switch brands or whatever, because we got that portal and we got the draft at some point that's going to come, like, I wouldn't mind seeing the Usos and the New Day for a little while to get, you know, the Usos away from Roman and get him, you know, them out of that mix again. There's a lot of things they can do, but they have a lot of cards that they can play with because they have so many people that are so over. And Brian, I know we talked about it yesterday, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but talking about the Continental Classic.
Oh, no.
The one thing that I didn't drive home is people need to have credibility going into it. Stories need to have credibility. People in their positions need to have credibility, and unfortunately, you don't have that in AEW. It's too all over the place. You have too many people operating in their own universes, not enough people that are over, not enough people that fans really believe in, and that's where ratings do bore things out. That's where ticket sales
Actually, we do have a lot of people that are over with their fans, but like a lot of them they just disappear or they're hurt. Why was Swerve not in the Continental Classic? Bobby Lashley.
A lot of these guys.
Swerve is over.
But Brian,
he's a huge star there.
But you need to have also, because of the way the thing is positioned and how it is, you need to have stories going into it that people care about and matter, as well as the people in the tournament. And you need to be able to then have stuff coming out of it like they do oftentimes with the G1. You have lower level guys going at it in it. You have a mix of people. But people also believe in those folks, and again, it's something you got to build to, and it's something that WWE has a plethora of right now, and that is talent that is over, that people believe in and care about their stories, whether it's and intertwining ones as well, because Drew and Seth and CM Punk, and when Bronson Reed comes back, CM Punk and Reed are going to have an issue, but Bronson's still going to have one with Seth. They have things weaved incredibly.
Yes, they're doing
well.
a very, very good job. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that yet, then at the very least, Put your
Don't do a
biggest
Continental
stars.
Classic, then.
Put your biggest stars in the Continental Classic.
Well,
Somebody made a very good point the other day. Somebody
Brian,
made. Hold
because
on.
here's
They
the
made
thing,
a very good point, and
You
they
throw
said
Go
the
ahead.
difference between the G1 and the Continental Classic. They said, don't pretend like there aren't geeks in the G1 because there are. Okay.
There are.
I mean that with all due respect to like Yano and everything, but they said, yes, there are geeks in the G1, but also all of your top stars are in the G1. And that's absolutely not the case with the Continental Classic. There are plenty of stars that are actually big stars that the fans see as stars that were not in the Continental Classic. And for whatever reason, I mean, they just weren't there, you know? Where's
here's
the Young
thing.
Bucks?
Does anybody
whoever?
benefit coming out of it? Actually, in the way that they did it this year, Mark Briscoe, they've screwed up from day one, frankly. But, he's more over, or at least at the very least, he didn't sink. Mortos is more over. There are guys who are actually,
is more over.
There are guys who
Kyle
actually
Fletcher is more
benefited.
over.
Kyle Fletcher, who is be one of those guys who, again, you want to elevate up. Obviously, they do. So it worked out perfectly for him to be in there. But again, Mark Briscoe and Mortos, too, are two good examples of two people that people cared about, so it also helped their matches and their cause in the tournament because people like those guys. Whereas Commander, nobody cared that he was in there, and he was there to take
Exactly.
L's. And
Listen, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Brody King, but you know what?
He's been doing
He ain't
nothing.
even the biggest star in his group.
But the group doesn't wrestle, and nobody cares, and it's one-offs. And
But the
that's
point is,
problem.
if you have a
But
guy
that's-
who's a big star, he should have been in it, and it should have been
No, but-
Malachi.
But Malachi's really not a big star because we never see
He's
him
a
doing
bigger
anything
star than
either.
Brody.
But
I'm
we
saying we
never
should have
see
put
him-
the biggest stars in there.
But again, Buddy would have great matches too. But the whole thing is, none of those guys have been doing anything, so there's no real attachment. So, oh, great, Malachi's in. He had a bunch of great matches. You still need to have these guys more over and have people care about them more because for
Well, I
the
know.
pops that they get, does anybody really care that
Everybody-
Malachi's not there?
Everybody needs to be more over.
Everybody.
But until they are, I want bigger stars who currently are over in the Continental Classic.
I want better storylines the entire year. All
Samoa
year round.
Joe. He's got to be done filming that thing. Is he filming 75
No,
seasons?
I think
He's got to be
been
done.
We'll see him in.
MJF
LA.
had an excuse.
We'll see him in L.A.
Back in a moment, Observer Live. I didn't even talk about Raw. You pulled it. sent an email and he goes, was that match the Gorilla hated Sika versus Moondog Spot? No. I don't think that was a match. That was a match I hated. That was the worst match of the 80s. And honestly, one of the worst matches I've ever seen in my absolute entire life. Roman Reigns' father against Moondog Spot. An absolute, complete, and total atrocity. God, I hated that match.
Maybe it was Blackjack Mulligan against Moondog Spot.
Could have been.
One with an elbow drop.
Hey, you know what, everybody? Tonight, New Year's Eve, right before the ball drops, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, we are going to do a live watch-along on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, of this past Thursday's Bryan and Vinny show, where we recapped the go-home, the block finals of the Continental Classic on AEW and the NXT show. Vinny and I, the Bryan and Vinny show, AEW and NXT reviews. That'll be tonight, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. I will be there in the chat doing a watch-along, answering your questions, just having some fun. And you know what? It's a taped show, streaming live. So nobody's going to interrupt me before I get to my review. I'll just tell you for sure we're going to talk about both of those shows in their entirety tonight. So, yes. What, Lenny's crying? Yeah? Well, Happy New Year, Lenny. Happy New Year to the rest of you. I hope you had a great 2024, and we're going to see you the second day of 2025 because we're off tomorrow. But we'll see you on Thursday. Right, Mike? Because it's your show.
Yes.
I won't be here. But I'll be here on the third day of 2025. Thanks, Dom. Thanks, everybody in the studio. Darren, we'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.